originally in Spanish, second part of 2022. Yazhi, a question I saw some people ask. If there are no nuclear bombs, what was, for example, Rashell warning Eisenhower about when she said to stop atomic testing? What was she referring to, Yazhi? Rashell also said that she arrived in Earth orbit in 1952 as a reaction to the atomic tests being conducted on Earth. How can that be understood, knowing that there are no real nuclear weapons? I cannot take responsibility for what other people who have spoken to you have said. What I do realize is that this talk about nuclear weapons, and that they talked to the USA and Russia, and that since the Hiroshima and Nagasaki bombs were detonated, the Federation intervened because it was already destruction on a planetary level, and that these nuclear detonations affected other densities and dimensions. All this is what was said and is said openly in many places that speak about ETs. Not only here, not only Rashell. For example, Alex Collier said so too. Well, in my opinion, and based on what I have been saying for years, any detonation, nuclear or not, any event, including the flapping of a fly's wings, transcends density's dimensions. So this excuse of Federation intervention starting from the nuclear detonations of the 1940s is very New Age to me, whether my companions have said it here themselves or not. To me, the so-called New Age is a hijacking of principles of great spiritual awakening, because with the group of tendencies that fall within the so-called New Age, the controllers, the Cabal, the Illuminati Jesuits, same thing, control the minds of people who are free thinkers and who are not being controlled by the normal media, such as politics and the officially established religions. But apart from that, I think it is a problem of semantics. By nuclear weapons, she means with the definition of such that is given to them on Earth. Being that Rashell or Alex Collier's Andromedans should actually have said energy weapons of the kind they refer to on Earth as nuclear, to avoid future confusion. Being that even so, nuclear weapons, as described with human science, are by definition energy weapons. To me, and many others on this side of the Van Allen bands, we do not find the science of nuclear detonations congruent, because it goes against the very dynamics of how we understand how matter forms and behaves in general. Being that matter is only a byproduct of the harmonic that controls the frequencies in a flow of universal thoughts that we call gravity. Even so, as I was saying, I consider the subject of nuclear weapons controversial. I never said that there were no detonations, just that they do not obey the reasons or the technology of splitting the atom, as they are called there. Remembering that if the human population were told the truth, they might immediately try to develop or demand peaceful uses of those same bomb technologies, which would result in having to give the public what is essentially free energy. That is why, in my opinion, they developed these mathematical physical models to explain how explosive weaponry with these destructive capabilities can be developed. remembering something very important here, that the mathematics used to describe and calculate the processes of energy and behavior of subatomic particles is based on erroneous principles, although mathematically perfect, since, as I have explained before, mathematics and the sciences that depend on it have the tendency to create mathematically correct worlds of their own, but that do not reflect the objective external reality. Next concept to correct. It is said in many extraterrestrial research circles that they came to Earth because the children, humans, found the matches. Exact words of Perseus talking to Alex Collier. This is half-truth, because it's not that the ETs came to Earth because of that. They have always been here and have never left. They being the United Federation of Planets, who are the real controllers of the Earth matrix. So you think that Rashell or other races knew that those weapons are not really nuclear and that it was simply a matter of semantics? It's possible that they knew, or that they just didn't understand nuclear weapons technology and what exactly is involved. Not to the level of understanding that I may have, or modern Taigetans present here, or monitoring what is going on Earth from wherever they are. Because I remind you that you do not have to be physically here to see what is going on Earth. Okay, so when it is said that the ETs were warning not to develop nuclear weapons, that this or that they will not allow nuclear explosions, etc., all that refers to energy weapons, yes? They just say nuclear because that's how they refer to them on Earth, yes? It is complex, yes. We cannot know what they were thinking. But basically I see manipulation in the very words of the Andromedans regarding nuclear weapons. I see manipulation also even in the works of Dolores Cannon, in saying that the starseeds came in 3 waves, starting from the nuclear weapons detonations of Hiroshima and Nagasaki, basically in the 1950s, according to Cannon. Yes, it is true that there was a large influx of starseeds from those dates, yes. But there have always been starseeds. There have always been waves of incoming and outgoing to the experience of life on Earth. Essentially meaning that every real person on Earth, by definition, is a starseed. Manipulation by Cannon? Consciously or by the beings who spoke there? I don't think by Cannon, but by the information that came to Cannon. I have a very high regard for Dolores Cannon, nothing against her. But the information that comes to her, if not manipulated, may be limited by the very understanding of the beings who have given it to her. Remembering that her conclusions are based on countless past life regression experiences of all her clients over decades. Still, I am not sold on the narrative that they came only because of the nuclear detonations. Although it remains to be analyzed whether indeed Cannon said it was only because of that, or because humans found out how to make high-energy bombs in whatever form. And one thing, Yazhi, with what kind of weapons was Tiamat exploded then? Also energy weapons? Energy weapons of various forms. And some energy weapons do leave radiation. Don't come to me reclaiming that. I never said that some were not radioactive. I just said that the manner in which they are explained as functioning obeys a mathematical logic that is self-contained and correct within their own formulas, but does not reflect the outside world. Okay, and do nuclear weapons really exist then? Do you have them? Nuclear energy as a heat producer that in turn can generate steam that moves turbines, that move submarine ships, or generate electricity? Yes. Parentheses, explaining that nuclear plants are mostly terraforming plants. But nuclear detonation weapons, in my opinion, obey other technologies which are not being told to the human population, and they only use the known mathematical physical theory to explain the existence of such weaponry. Because on the one hand, the harmonic of a frequency is manifesting uranium, correct? But the manner in which said uranium releases energy as a chain reaction where subatomic particles are compressed to the point where they collide with each other, causing the uranium to violently disintegrate, as nuclear weapons are said to work, I do not find it congruent, as it goes against the principles of manifestation. Because the harmonic of a frequency that controls everything is dictating something else at the subatomic level. It is dictating a piece of uranium, not release of particles by chain reaction. Yes, chain reactions do exist, but not in this case. In other words, nuclear detonation as such goes against the harmonic that controls the physical presence of the detonator, uranium. But there exists the constant and progressive decay of a radioactive material, which, as a byproduct, is the release of heat energy. But can you manipulate that harmonic with some technology you have to create a real nuclear weapon? The harmonic is very complex, and it increases in complexity with the density of an object. And in the case of uranium, it is very complex. It could be altered, yes, with the process of cause and effect, as with everything. That is, you cause something that in turn alters the harmonic, like for example when cooking vegetables. But in the case of a nuclear explosion, the jump between the harmonic that controls the piece of uranium at once differs greatly from the large release of energy from the explosion. That is, the intermediate steps that take the uranium from solid state to explosion are missing. In the case of TNT, no, because it is a process at the chemical level, not at the nuclear level. That is, the rapid oxidation of the chemical component of TNT causes a heat release. I am talking about the subatomic level.
Nuclear bomb and atomic bomb are the same, right?
Basically, yes. If there is a difference, I don't know it. Yes, there is a difference between nuclear bombs, atomic bombs, and hydrogen bombs. But it's the same principle of bringing a radioactive object, weapons-grade uranium-236, to the breaking point of compression, causing a destructive and violent chain reaction.
I remember that Swaruu or Annika also said that in 2008, Teleka suffered some impact from an atomic missile.
Yes, they were hit with weapons that humans call nuclear.
Which were actually energetic.
Yes, since even nuclear weapons, as they are described on Earth, would fall under the definition of energy weapons.
And the behavior of these weapons is the same in space, right? Or is it even more violent there?
It depends on complex factors, proximity to stellar objects, and so on. But basically it is the same. Remembering that mass functions change at higher densities progressively by having precisely less density. Yazhi, someone asked me what they could have used to detonate this. And also, someone left me this comment. I don't know if you have anything to comment here. Comment goes, yes, it's curious what is going on in these explosions. Unlike conventional high explosives, where solid material decomposes to create enormous quantities of hot gas in a tiny fraction of a second, thereby creating the destructive blast, these explosions are the result of enormous quantities of heat and the associated super high temperatures. That's why there is a column and mushroom cloud and associated heat blast. Could they have found a chemical method? Nitroglycerin, or is it TNT, decomposes, producing a great deal of free oxygen, which could perhaps react with another component, magnesium for example. Could there be a nuclear energy secondary element, the initial explosion due to another mechanism? The temperature-time distribution would be quite telling, I think. About the image, they go back to look for the explanation within the framework of what is known to them. I see an explosion that for me is point zero. They speak of heat release as justifying the existence of atomic bombs. But for me, that is a symptom of a plasma expansion reaction. That is 0 point. And it is not known if what you see there and in other similar shots is real or is rigged. The fact that it comes from the 50s doesn't mean anything. They were rigging things back then too, especially if it comes from controllers with technology that surpasses that of the time. I have this last question from someone. There are dozens of channeled messages claiming that all nuclear armaments worldwide have been neutralized by ET craft hovering over the missile silos. So is that false then? They do that. I am just claiming that they are not nuclear with the earthly explanations people are given. It's all just more fear. Well, if they are really destructive, they would also cause fear. Yes, but the cabal would not use them because the fights between political states or nations are pure theater, since the deep cabal themselves control both sides. But my point is not to have people believe me. It is to make everyone think and see that what they are told is not the truth. It never is. Everything official is not true. And this I dare say in capital letters, everything is a lie there. Therefore, atomic energy as well. They are only truths that fit in one or another matrix or scheme of values, but not in others. That is, they are not universal truths, but truths relative to the context, as is atomic energy within the context of the terrestrial matrix.